League of Legends is a team-based strategy game where the goal is for you and 4 other teammates to bring down your enemy's Nexus, all while defending your own at the same time. Think of the Nexus as the heart of your base, almost like a castle that you have to defend. Sadly, there is no prince or princess to awaken with true love's first kiss. The game itself has no time constraint and lasts until one team brings down the other's Nexus. Just like going over your grandma's for only one slice of pie, the task is easier said than done. In League, the characters are known as champions, and every game starts by choosing a champion from a list of 139, all of which have their own strengths and weaknesses. There are 3 main types of champions: marksmen, tanks, and mages or assassins. However, not all champions fall into one single category. Some are hybrids that lend themselves to a particular style of gameplay. Each champion has a different number of health and mana or energy points, and this base number will change based on what type of champion you select. If you choose a tank, your champion will have a higher base health points, and thus will be harder to kill. Whereas if you select a mage, you will have higher mana or energy, which will allow you to cast more spells. When choosing a champion, it's important to think what style of gameplay you want to play. If you're a fan of cowering behind your muscular friends, perfect. You can pick the ranged marksman who fires away from a distance. Or maybe you're a connoisseur of defending your cowering friends. In that case, you can pick a strong, burly fighter to go all in with no remorse. Or you can choose the unusual subcategory of mages and assassins that cast powerful spells or do cool card tricks in front of their opponents. However you want to get things done, someone is out there for you, unlike Lava Life or eHarmony. After everyone has selected their character, you and your 4 teammates will appear in the fountain. Kick your feet up, stay a while. This is going to be what you will be calling home. While this is a nice place to take a drink of water, this is also where you will respawn if your champion dies during battle. While this fountain does not provide you with youth, it does house the item shop. At the beginning of the game, you'll start off with a little bit of gold, and you can use this gold to buy items. These items will act as perks or power-ups for your champion in battle, and some items might even give you faster attack speed, more armor, or faster health regeneration, to name a few examples. There are even boots to give you faster movement speed, and I know you've been eyeing them Jordans for a while. As the game progresses, you will get more gold, and you can return to the fountain to buy better items, giving you an even stronger boost for that extra edge in battle. Once you've bought your starting items, you'll head out into the mystical world of League of Legends known as Summoner's Rift. Each game is played on the same map, which, frankly, between you and me, might be the only simple thing about this game. The map is broken up into 3 lanes, commonly called bot for bottom, mid for middle, and top, well, for top, real original, yeah. Each lane is a path between the 2 bases guarded by a set of powerful turrets. You'll need to destroy your enemy's turrets if you want to get into their base and take down their Nexus. Remember the Nexus? Your lost friend who happens to be the princess, the heart, everything your team is trying to protect, but also the enemy has one and you need to destroy it to end the game? Nexus, you darn old thing. Between the lanes is the jungle, a shadowy area filled with powerful neutral monsters who aren't on either team. But don't poke the bear and not expect a grisly future. These monsters can beat the heck out of an unprepared champion. Slaying these creatures, however, will give you gold to buy items, experience to level up, and, on occasion, some pretty sweet temporary perks. A line dissects the map into half between the 2 teams. This is called the river. Within the river, there are 2 powerful neutral bosses that are highly sought out after, one on each side. But don't worry about them just yet. We'll get back to them in a sec. Understanding the ins and outs of the map is important. Experienced players know where things are relatively safe and where things can get a little hairy. The last time I've seen a map this useful was probably on Dora the Explorer. Well, you're out and about, trying to figure it out, and your items are giving you hella clout. So how do you get stronger? How do you crush your enemies? Well, there are 2 ways to do just that. The first way is to gain experience. You gain experience by being in the same area as enemies when they die. After killing enough enemies, you will level up, with the max level being level 18. Every time you level up, you're given an ability point to improve one of your champion's abilities. Your champion has 5 different abilities. The first 3 abilities are known as the Q, W, and E abilities, named to represent how to trigger them on the keyboard. A champion also has an ultimate ability and a passive ability. The ultimate ability is triggered with the R key, while the passive ability isn't triggered by a key. It's actually always active and cannot be improved with ability points. For example, here you can see Karthus, one of the 139 champions to pick from, has a passive that allows him to stay alive for a couple of extra seconds after death. All abilities have a cooldown period, meaning they cannot really be unleashed until a certain time after each use. Ability cooldowns can vary from champion to champion, but the rule of thumb is between 1 to 20 seconds. The ultimate ability, however, ranges between 1 and 2 minutes, so use it sparingly. Leveling up your abilities makes them stronger and decreases their cooldown. The second way to get stronger is by buying items. Items are bought at the shop in your team's base, as I mentioned before, using gold earned from killing enemies during a match. Once you've purchased an item, it goes straight into your inventory where you immediately gain its benefits. There are items for you to do more damage, such as swords or bows, or take less damage, such as armor or shields. Oh, and of course, those items that help your teammates succeed. But those items are for the nice guys, and we all know nice guys finish last. What do you think of when you hear the word minion? Do you have an adorable yellow character in the back of your head? Erase that immediately. Minions within a game of League are much different. They are computer-controlled units that march relentlessly down all lanes, engaging in any enemies in their path. They periodically spawn in waves, and they separate, marching down top, mid, and bot. Your opponents have minions too, and you're probably going to want to crush them. You get experience when they die, but only the killing blow, commonly known as the last hit, will earn you gold. I get it. This might look like the draft of one of my grandpa's new chess pieces for his set. But it's a little more deadly than some semi-professional woodcrafting, okay? Lay your hands off my grandpa. Alongside minions, turrets add some oregano and basil into the mix. They really spice it up. Used to help defend a team's nexus, they need to be destroyed in order to make life easier on yourself and your team. Each squad has 11 turrets, 3 in top, mid, and bot, as well as 2 parked right in front of the nexus. While you won't necessarily have to destroy them all, the way in which you attack them is very important. The targeting priorities of the turret are also very specific and important to understand if you want to stay alive. As you can see here, this glowing circle will represent the idea of what the range is like around the turret. But when you are actually in the game, this circle does not show. This circle is like training wheels. You're already 11 years old, Terrence. It's time to ride a bike. Once you and your minions roll up to an enemy turret, you'll have a few moments to damage it while it focuses your minions. If you are in range of the turret without your minions, it will then decide to attack you. If you attack an enemy champion, however, within the range of the turret, it will change its focus entirely on you, even if your minions are around to support you. Working with your minions to siege enemy turrets is your main objective if you're looking to reach the Nexus. And yes, I know, for the 100th time, it's easier said than done. But make sure to watch out for enemies' champions too. Like you, they have items, abilities, and their own minions to call on to help stop you rolling up. Protect your neck. Sis. The inevitable end. Death. We're all dying, obviously. But in League of Legends, death is only temporary. Don't feel bad about running headfirst into the entirety of the opposing team. Only worry about the aftermath of your team yelling at you. If your champion dies, you'll have to wait for a timer to expire before you're thrown right back into the mix at your base's fountain. As the game goes on, the length of time you have to wait before respawning increases. However, early on in the game, it only requires a few seconds of patience. Thankfully, killing your enemies also takes them off the map, giving you the perfect opportunity to either take a turret or show them how sportsmanlike you are. The hardest part of understanding what is going on is understanding each individual champion. While we obviously can't go through all 139 of them, we can go through one champion kit just to give you a little bit of a framework. Just a reminder, all champions have a passive ability that is always available. They have 3 base abilities that can be activated via the Q, W, and E keys, and an ultimate ability activated with the R key. let's jump into our champion kit now that we know the basics. We're going to be going over the Dark Child, otherwise known as Annie. So let's start things off by talking a little bit about her Q ability that's called Disintegrate. Disintegrate is an ability in which Annie throws a fireball at her target. Moving on to her W ability, Incinerate, Annie will release a cone of fire in the direction that you select, dealing damage to all enemies within the cone. Then, we have her E ability, Molten Shield. Annie wraps herself in a fiery aura, reducing damage taken for a few seconds. Enemies who attack Annie during this time will also be dealt damage back. Next is her passive, called Pyromania. After casting 4 abilities, Annie's next ability will stun enemies as it damages them. And last, but definitely not least, Annie's ultimate ability on the R key is Tibbers. Annie carries around a little teddy bear, and when she activates this ability, a giant flaming bear, yes, named Tibbers, spawns and is controlled entirely by her. The initial spawn does a lot of damage to surrounding enemies, and then Tibber likes to just take long walks on the beach and help Annie clean up some of the enemies that are left remaining. This is just one of the many examples that League of Legends has to offer in their champions. While, yes, I understand, this is a lot to absorb, but really, that's the basics of League of Legends. Get money, buy stuff, and wreck a base all while battling against a team of opponents trying to do the same exact thing to you. The combination of skill, speed, and intelligence will lead you to the opponent's nexus and a victory. Then, you can start a new game and do it all over again.